Hello, my name is Caroline, and I'm going to take you through the process of setting up your SmartRubric account. It will only take about 10 minutes of your time. First, I'm going to show you how to set up a new class and import a list of students. Second, I'll show you how to adapt a simple rubric from the template library. For this setup, we're going to start simple with a small rubric that you might use for an in-class assessment. Finally, I'll show you how to create a new assessment and start marking. To show you how to set up a new account from scratch, the first thing we need to do is go up here and create a new class. So as you can see, I don't have any classes yet in this account. So all I'm going to do is click the button. I'm going to add a high ability year 10 English class. And I'm going to give them a color. Makes it a little bit easier to keep track of things later. Okay, and this is now my gradebook. So obviously there aren't any students in this class. And to add them, you can either add them one at a time, or you can import the whole list, which is what I'm going to do. It's really easy. All you do is you download the template, open it up, and this is what it looks like. So all you're going to do is get your class list. This is whatever your school gives you, and copy the 3 columns. So we've got student identifier. This is whatever your school uses to identify the students. It's an optional field. It helps, but you don't have to include it. And if you've got a student that has a particular nickname, then we're going to go ahead and add it that way. So I'm going to just save that. Now I'm using Apple numbers, so I need to export to CSV. If you're using Excel, you should have an option to save as a CSV file, and you need to do that. And there we go. So what I'm going to do is come back to SmartRubric, select the file that I just created, open it, and import the class list. Okay, and it will go through. If you have any students that have been added twice, it might ask you to clarify whether it's a new student or an old one, but in this case, these students are all being added to for the first time. So there we are, that's our gradebook. And these students are now ready to be assessed. So I've decided that I'm going to assess an English kind of in-class English literature assessment. I'm going to keep it pretty simple. So what you need to do is you go into the template library, go to the General tab, and you're going to click on the Starter Rubric template. This is just a really general rubric template that you can use. It already has grade boundaries all set up in there, and some guidance for you. So all you do is you add it to your library. Once you've got it, you can toggle between the edit and the view mode. So I'm just going to change this. This is a simple literature assessment. It's English, and there we go. We'll just save that. Tidy up the rest of the notes. They're just for your use. Do that later. Okay, so the template gives you 2 tabs where you might organize 2 different chunks of assessment information. We're not going to use the checklist, so I'm going to delete that. And we are left with just the matrix section. So like I said, I'm going to kind of minify this quite big mark scheme that you'd use with a GCSE type module, and just make it appropriate for a small assessment in a class. So I'm going to focus just on 2 key things. So I'm going to target the student's ability to use evidence to support their ideas. Oops. And I'm going to look at how they engage with writers, with the writer's ideas. Engagement with writer's ideas. And that is engagement. Okay. And you can add some extra detail about what that means later on. So we're just going to start with, we're going to really simplify this. We're going to say level 1, level 2, and level 3. But we're looking at kind of the top end of a mark scheme here. So this is higher ability students. Okay, so what you do is you describe what attainment, well, what progress looks like at each of the levels, in this case, the top 3 levels of the mark scheme. when it comes to the use of evidence. So at level 1, we would expect the student to be able to consider, use of evidence, beg pardon. The student can link well-chosen details to multiple interpretations of the text. And let's see, well-chosen details from different places in the text to, let's just simplify it, to their to the interpretation. It's important to use these sentence starters because that's how we generate all of the AFL for the student. So a kind of well-designed rubric is going to save you a lot of time. Right, so at level 2, we're going to move up a level. We're going to say that the student can choose quotations that are that have a lot of, there's a lot they can say about it. So we're going to look at choosing some quotations that are really appropriate for an in-depth analysis. And then at the top level, we want them to choose one of those quotations and really, really pick it apart in a lot of detail. So can analyze at least one quotation in a lot of detail, picking it apart on kind of on a language level as well as a meaning level. Probably want to adjust that language a little bit before we give it to a student. Okay, and then so the next one, engagement with writers' ideas. At the kind of minimum, students should be able to consider multiple aspects of the writer's message and really kind of engage with complexity, begin to engage with complexity. Maybe they don't do it with a huge amount of confidence, but that's what that might look like. Then kind of the next level up would be to say you're not just considering multiple aspects of the writer's message, you're actually making that central to your argument. So we're going to say we're going to make an exploration of multiple messages, multiple aspects of the writer's message central to the argument that the student is making. And then at best, what we'd love to see is the student can say something imaginative, convincingly argued, and maybe even critical about the ideas and messages the writer conveys. Okay, so if you want to make sure that this is looking all right, you can actually go ahead and preview that. So, oops, just click on to view and it will show you what that looks like. There we go. So we've got a matrix. It already has all of the level descriptors in there. It has the grade boundaries in there. So it's ready to go just from that template. So the last thing we need to do is actually to create an assessment. So we can pop back to our main menu, our main screen here, and click New Assessment. And so this is going to be, I don't know, beginning of unit assessment. We're going to choose the only rubric we've got at the moment, which is the lit analysis. We're going to pick our year 10 class, give it a date. If you want to add notes, you can do that. We just create a new assessment. And what you will see, this is where it gets really easy. You've got your class list here, and you just pick a student, and you select what they can do. It calculates the grade for them, calculates the number of marks. Again, this is all defined in the rubric, and produces all of the AFL that the student needs. So that's it. You've gone from nothing to a completely set up account. We've got a rubric in there, and we're ready to actually start marking all in less than 10 minutes.